Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. So we've started doing some reading with flowers for algernon. We are going to use the text going forward to do some work with text evidence. So our goal today is to identify the strongest text evidence to support a claim. We've done a little bit of work with taking text evidence and using it in our writing, especially with one-pagers. And it's really easy to grab a quote and throw it into what you're doing. But the process of thinking through a quote, thinking through text evidence and how does it actually support me, there's a lot of thinking work that happens behind the scenes. So we're going to work through some strategies to do some of that work with flowers for algernon. So when you're using text evidence, you're using it to support a claim. We kind of did those in our one-pagers by having something to say, but just to clarify, a claim is essentially a statement that asserts an opinion. So to get there, you want to think of something that feels important in the text and then say something that feels true about it. It's coming up with an opinion about it. So some examples: the way other people treat Charlie is unfair. Miss Kinnian is the only person who genuinely cares about Charlie. Both of those are claims that I could make. I could support them with things happening in the text. I could make an argument about it and someone might be able to disagree with me on it. So that's kind of a good question to ask yourself to clarify if it is or isn't. If someone can disagree with you and have a different opinion about it, then you've probably got a claim. So I want to claim Miss Kinnian is the only person who genuinely cares about Charlie. And to find evidence to support this, one, I need to know some of the things I'm going to say about it, but I also need to identify scenes in the text that go along with it. So that means that I'm going to look for scenes where Miss Kinnian is nice to Charlie, scenes where others are not nice to Charlie, because I'm saying Miss Kinnian is the only person who genuinely cares about Charlie. So now I know what kind of things I need to back myself up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a couple quotes. I'm not just going to look through, point to one and say this kind of has something to do with it and put it in. I'm going to pick a couple and I'm going to try to analyze them and figure out which one best supports what I'm doing by going through a process with them. So I have 4 here. I will read through each of them and then I'll show you some of the thinking work I'm doing to pick which one best supports me in saying Miss Kinney is the only person who genuinely cares about Charlotte. My first one: I told them because all my life I wanted to be smart and not dumb, but it's very hard to be smart. They said, you know, it'll probably be temporary. I said, yes. Miss Kinnian told me I don't care if it hurts. So I have some background on Miss Kinnian giving him information. 2, I like Miss Kinnian because she's a very smart teacher. And she said, Charlie, you're going to have a second chance. If you volunteer for this experiment, get smart. They don't know if it'll be permanent, but there's a chance. That's why I said okay, even when I was scared, because she said it was an operation. She said, don't be scared, Charlie. You've done so much with so little. I think you deserve it most of all. They didn't give me anything. Number 3, they didn't give me anything to eat this morning. I don't know what that eating has to do with getting smart. I'm very hungry, and Dr. Niemer took away my box of candy. That Dr. Niemer is a grouch. Dr. Strauss says I can have it back after the operation. You can't eat before operation. And number 4, we had a lot of fun at the factory today. Joe Carp said, hey, look where Charlie had his operation. What did they do, Charlie? Put some brains in? I was going to tell him, but I remember Dr. Strauss said no. Then Frank Riley said, what'd you do, Charlie? Forget your key and open your door the hard way? That made me laugh. They're really my friends and like me. So I picked 2 where other people are kind of not being nice to Charlie, and then I picked 2 that I thought had something to do with Miss Kinnian being nice to Charlie. So first, just on your own, decide which one of these 4 do you think is the best scene to help back up my idea. But then I also want to go through kind of some of that thinking work to make sure that I have a good one. So first, I kind of have to decide which one is more important, that Miss Kinnian genuinely cares or that everyone else around him doesn't care. That might help me to narrow it down. But once I do that, I kind of want to look at it. And the process we're going to use, it's called say, mean, matter. So I'm taking my quote and looking at it 3 different ways. I want to look at what does it say. So first, just what's happening in the scene. So you're going to explain what's happening in your own words. What does it mean? So what's the importance of that quote? Without considering my claim, like what am I learning from this? What's important about this scene? And then the final connection is what does it matter? So how does it support my claim? How does it relate to what I'm actually saying? Because these 2 things kind of happen on their own, right? Like I'm going to figure that out whether or not I have a claim. This last one, the what does it matter, is the part that makes it important to me. So I'm going to look at the one where it says, I like Miss Kinnian because she's a very smart teacher. She said, Charlie, you're going to have a second chance. If you volunteer for this experiment, you might get smart. So after looking at these 3 parts, I'm going to have a better idea if this actually works with my quote. So what does it say? Miss Kinnian is praising Charlie for how hard he works. So we're getting some positive feedback here. I definitely see like that's what's happening in this scene. what does it mean? So what's the importance of this quote to the story, to the characters involved? And I said, it seems like Miss Kinney doesn't have any selfish reasons for acting this way towards Charlie. She really cares about seeing him be happy and succeed, and that's why she's encouraging him to operation. So my conclusion here is that I'm learning something about Miss Kinnean. Miss Kinnean seems like she's not selfish, so that goes a little bit further than what does it say. I'm adding my own interpretation there. But what does it say is just summarizing what happens. And then what does it matter? I already see some connections to my claim, but I want to make sure that I make the full connection of what I'm saying. So the what does it matter is kind of your connection. And I say, we see many other people being mean to Charlie through Charlie's limited view of the world. This is the first time that it seems like we actually see someone being nice toward Charlie. So this part, the being nice towards Charlie and describing that in relation to this quote, that's the what does it matter, and how does it support this quote, this claim about that Miss Kinney is the only person who genuinely cares about Charlie. So at this point, I think that this is a good quote to use, but again, I don't just want to jump on the first one. So what I'm going to ask you to do for today's assignment is to work with this second quote. They didn't give me anything to eat this morning. I don't know what that eating has to do with getting smart. Go through the what does it say, what does it mean, what does it matter process. You're going to see how closely it relates to this, and then you kind of have to go back to that other idea of which concept is more important, showing someone who's nice, showing someone who's not nice, and then you have an idea of does this one actually do that. So you're going to try it with this I've given you with this claim that I've set up, and then once you've done that, you feel like you have that down, you're going to move off and become a little more independent with it. You're going to find your own quotes. The claim for this is Dr. Strauss does or does not care about Charlie. So you're going to pick which side you want to be on, and then you're going to find two different quotes, and you're going to go through this process of what does it say, what does it mean, what does it matter, and then decide which one is the better quote to support you. So practicing this idea of identifying the strongest text evidence that it's a process. It's not just a flip through the story, put my finger on one, and this is the one I'm going to use. So we will continue building on this idea of text evidence, but today we're going to do this practice first with the chart of what does it say, what does it mean, what does it matter.